Yeah, good morning. So this is batch M5. Okay. I think you are having introduction. Previous classes you have been introduced to some of the subjects. Geography classes already I think 2 or 3 class. Manucha sir, he has started. Yeah, Shivarpit. Yeah. Okay. So I'll be dealing with one of the segments of geography. Myself, MD Rizwan. I'm faculty for GS Geography and optional, and I've been teaching geography, both optional and general studies, last 20 years. This is my 20th year teaching for civil services. So I'll be dealing with one segment of world physical geography, that is geomorphology, that is study of landforms, and second is Indian physical geography. So now you are getting an idea of the total geography segment. So there are 3 teachers for geography. One part of GS geography will be dealt by Manucha sir. He will be dealing with world physical geography, climatology and oceanography. Geomorphology plus Indian physical geography, that I'll take care. And Shivarpit, he will be covering the segment of Indian, that is Indian economic, or we talk about human geography perspective, and one more teacher for your ecology and environment and disaster management, right? So in this way, you have 4 teachers to cover your geography, general studies, world as well as Indian geography, plus your ecology and environment, plus disaster management, right? Now, to begin with, when you study this part of your GS, that is GS geography segment, you should follow an integrated approach, in the sense that here we cannot really segregate the chapters, saying that a particular chapter belongs to the prelims exam and particular belongs to mains. We don't have this segregation given by UPSC. The syllabus mentions it as, in prelims there is only one line, that is physical, social and economic geography of India and world, and in mains geography is divided in 2 papers. In mains it will be part of GS paper 1, where it mentions as the silent features of world physical geography plus geophysical phenomenon and impact of climate change, right? These are 3 points in your syllabus of GS paper 1 mains, and remaining geography is there in general studies paper 3, that is more pertaining to Indian physical, economic and social geography. Okay? So in case of mains exam, geography is divided, it is segregated in 2 papers, that is GS paper 1 and GS paper 3, right? But when you are approaching the subject, you have to approach in an integrated manner, in the sense when you are studying a topic, you have to analyze based on the previous year question paper that whether I need to study this topic from objective perspective or answer writing, right? That you have to develop over a period. You have to develop this judgment about the topic, that I am reading this topic for what? I am reading it really for the prelims exam or I am reading it for mains. Is there any possibility of the question being asked in this particular topic for the mains exam? If your answer is yes, then you should be able to write 150 to 200 words of answer on that particular topic. So when we study in the class also, we will have an integrated approach, that is combining the prelims and mains perspective. Okay? Now to begin with, so I'll give you a general idea of what is geography as a discipline before starting the main chapter. Now when you study geography, we look at the basic definition of geography. The purpose of geography when it evolved as a subject was to understand or study earth, right? So study of earth is known as geography. But for most of the time, when the geographers, philosophers, they kept on concentrating on the earth, one question they got, that whether geography should focus on entire earth or should there be a specialized study for interior of the earth. So what is interior? So earth consists of two parts: interior, which is known as a geosphere, and then outer, that is known as surface of the earth, right? So when the discipline of geography started, it was about the study of earth, but later on it was thought that the interior of the earth, which is geosphere, is to be analyzed more with a greater speciality, and this led to the birth of geology. So what is geology? Geology is a specialized discipline which deals with the geosphere. And what is geosphere? Is interior of the earth. Then what is the focus of geography? The focus of geography is on the surface, right? So as a geographer, what we are trying to interpret about the earth? What is our focus? Our focus is not entire earth. Remember, as a geographer, we are more concerned about what is happening on the surface, right? Now here you should be having a clarity of the thought that we are not a geologist. When you say that it is geology, geology is more specialized discipline that focuses on scientific investigation about interior, right? As a geographer, our focus is on the surface. Now when you see surface, so focus of geography is focusing on the surface of earth, right? Surface of the earth. Now what surface consists of? If you in general make an observation about the surface of the earth, the surface of the earth consists of, you can see, a continent, oceans, mountains, plateaus, rivers, climate, drainage, etc. But it also consists of the features like agriculture, industries, roads, tunnels, towns, cities, so and so. So what we can do, we can divide the surface of the earth into two type of feature. One is the natural landscape or natural, what is the term used for feature in geography is landscape. So there are natural landscapes present on the surface of the earth, and second, there are man-made features. These are known as human landscapes on the surface of the earth, right? Now I hope you are getting this. So what is surface consisting of? Surface consists of natural feature, जैसे continent है, which are evolved along with the earth, which are evolved by a natural phenomenon, that will be considered as the natural landscape. Here there is no human contribution in evolution of this feature. Like there is a mountain building, this is a natural, right? Formation of a sea or a ocean, natural. Formation of a rock is natural, right? So this type of natural landscape, this will be studied under physical geography. So we get here, what is a physical geography? Physical geography is about, the focus of the physical geography is on natural landscape, while what is study of human landscape, this will be known as human geography. So what we are doing here, geography is further classified into two branches. It is divided into two branches. One is physical geography and another human geography. Okay. Now, so human geography deals with human landscape. What is a human landscape? Anything which is a product of man's interaction. Man is interacting with what? Man is interacting with the surface of the earth will result in human landscape, right? So for example, man is plowing the soil. What it results in? Agriculture. Man is constructing the house. It is resulting in settlement, right? So man is digging a tunnel. It is construction of the road. So whenever man is interacting with the surface of the earth, the product of this will be human landscape. Now, what is meaning of surface? Surface is, what is surface? Surface is natural. Surface is what? Physical landscape, right? Surface is physical landscape. Man is interfering into it. Man is modifying it and creating a human landscape. Take example, suppose this is one mountain, right? Now what humans have done? He has cut down this mountain and here there are some buildings constructed on the mountain. So ये जो buildings है, this will be considered as a human landscape created by modifying what? Natural landscape, right? Therefore, man is creating his own environment. Now, what is this physical geography? Physical geography is dealing with physical landscape, which is nothing but physical environment. Now, understanding physical geography, what is naturally present is in three forms, right? So, here this is in the form of land, water and air, right? So, we get the natural features on the surface of the earth in three formats. One is land. This will be all those features which are composed of rocks, right? So it can be a continent or a mountain or a plateau or a valley. So this type of feature जो भी rock से बना है और natural origin है, this will be referred as landforms, right? Anything which is a product of, anything which is composed of rock and is a product of natural phenomenon will be considered as landform. It can be mountain, plateau, hill, plain, anything, right? And the study of this feature, now what is this belonging to? These are landforms are the part of, they are the part of the outermost solid layer of the earth, that is lithosphere, and the study of these landforms will be known as geomorphology. So in this way we get one chapter of what? World Physical Geography. So World Physical Geography deals with number one is geomorphology. So first what we have done, we have divided geography into two parts, physical and human. Now we are dividing physical geography further. So first we got geomorphology. What is geo? Earth. Morpho? Structure. And logy is study. So studying the structure present on the surface of the earth. What are that structural features present on the surface known as landforms? Structural features. Study of structural features present on the surface of the earth. This will be known as landforms. Okay. Now second is water. And how is water present on the surface? This constitute which sphere? Hydrosphere. This you might have studied. These are basic things just to revise. Now hydrosphere, this will be known as oceanography. So oceanography is the second, we can say, branch of physical geography. And third is air. Air is the envelope of gases that is surrounding the earth. This will be known as atmosphere, and the study of atmosphere is known as climatology, right? So what we got here, World Physical Geography is further divided. World Physical Geography is divided into three chapters: geomorphology, climatology and oceanography, right? This will be covered in most of this subject content is there in your NCERT class 11 fundamentals of physical geography. mastering these three is required for you to master geography, whether it is a part of your GS or anybody who is opting for geography as a optional subject, right? Without these three chapters, geography is hollow, right? You have to master this. For GS also, you should have a significant maturity in this. I am not saying expertise, but maturity in understanding of the concept of this. So these three are conceptual areas for you, right? इसमें ज़्यादा facts होते नहीं है. Facts are there, but you don't get a fact-based question. If there are some seven questions from these three chapters in your prelims, 6 to 7, hardly you will find it is 1 or 2 questions that are thoroughly fact-based. Remaining 4 to 5 questions are more based on concept, right? So this is conceptual, fundamental, foundation part of your geography, right? In these two, climatology and oceanography, will be covered by Manucha sir. I'll be covering geomorphology part. ठीक है? तो यहाँ पर देखिए, what is physical geography? Physical geography is about land, water and air, right? And this land, water and air put together constitute a physical what? Environment, right? So land, water and air put together is a physical environment. इस तरह से देख सकते हैं. You might have studied this. So ये है lithosphere, this is hydrosphere, this is atmosphere. तो यहाँ पर जो बन रहा है, this is biosphere, right? Biosphere is nothing but a biological sphere where the life form is supported by the physical environment. What is physical environment? Biotic or abiotic? It is abiotic, right? That supports life, that is supporting flora and fauna or microorganism. So physical environment may consist of lithosphere, hydrosphere and atmosphere. This is supporting the life form and this will be known as a biosphere. And where is man? Where is the identity of man? Man is a part of which sphere? Man is a part of biosphere. Here is man. So what is this man doing? Man is modifying all the other sphere. Man is interacting with all the other sphere and creating his own environment, right? That is known as human landscape. So here, come back to this. So man is a part of biosphere. Man is interacting with other sphere. Man is interacting with lithosphere, atmosphere, hydrosphere and biosphere and creating his own landscape, creating a human landscape. Therefore, human landscapes can be treated as which sphere? They can be treated as anthroposphere. What is anthroposphere? Anthroposphere is the environment created by man by modifying क्या? Natural environment, right? जो physical environment है या natural environment है, what is physical environment? Physical environment is composed of land, water, air and life form. So this physical environment is modified by humans, right? Modified by humans, and there is humans create their own environment that will be known as anthroposphere, right? So what is how is this anthroposphere? Is it static? Is it static? Anthropospheres are expanding, right? Why is anthroposphere expanding? The anthroposphere is expanding because human landscapes are expanding, right? Why is human landscape expanding? Because man's interaction with the surface is increasing, right? Now, come back to fundamental here. So, what we have done? We have divided geography into two parts, physical and human. Physical geography represents what? Physical environment, and human geography is representing efforts of man or human interaction, right? Then what is geography? geography is about understanding relationship between man and environment. We get a new definition of geography. So we started geography as the study of earth. Now we are saying geography is a study of earth's surface. Now we have brought man into it, right? And now we are saying that geography is about understanding relationship between man and environment. Man, humans are considered as one of the essential component of geographical studies. Okay? So right there, the modern perspective of geography, is to understand relationship between man and environment. Right? So come back to this. What is happening? Man is interacting with environment. What is determining human interaction with the physical environment? Now the interaction results in what? Anthroposphere. Okay? So now we are getting the terms here. One, we got geosphere. Geosphere क्या है? Interior of earth, right? Then we have lithosphere, solid earth surface is known as lithosphere. Hydrosphere is water bodies, atmosphere is gaseous envelope, biosphere is biological sphere, anthroposphere is a human sphere, right? Just say this city, is it a natural environment now? No, it has been modified. It has been thoroughly modified by human activity. Therefore, this city can be considered as human landscape or it can be considered as anthroposphere, right? So, man's interaction with the surface is determined by human needs, right? How much and to what extent man is going to interact with the environment depends on his needs, right? And needs are determined by, what is determining needs? So we can say that indirectly needs determine what? Anthroposphere. If needs multiply, the human interaction also will increase and anthroposphere will expand, right? This is the meaning. So needs are, now how are human needs? Are they static? No, human needs are not static. Human needs are dynamic, means human needs go on. Human tendency is not to decrease the need, human tendency is to increase the need, right? Human needs are dynamic, they keep on multiplying. Rather, there are theories which say that human needs follow what? Hierarchy. Just in public administration, there is a theory of Maslow's need hierarchy, where he says that how are human needs created? Humans try to fulfill the low order need. Once that is fulfilled, it will give rise to higher order, right? Matlab, what humans try to do, they will try to first fulfill the basic need. जैसे कोई tribe है, तो tribe is struggling to fulfill which need? Basic. तो वहां पर hunting, food gathering, shifting cultivation ये होगा. How is the interaction with the environment? It is a very basic interaction with the environment. So you clear the forest, you burn the forest and you have agriculture in that particular area. तो ये क्या है? Basic interaction है. This is because of the humans there are trying to fulfill the basic needs, right? But if this tribe, they find that yes, that area is able to fulfill their needs, right? Now what they do? They intensify agriculture in that. Instead of moving from one place to other place, they settle at one place, right? And they construct the houses, they dig into the areas nearby, they collect the mud and sand, they may make a brick, make a house, right? Now this is a village coming into existence. क्या हुआ है? Need has been amplified the modification of that area further has increased. तो यहाँ पे human landscape क्या हुआ है? Modify हुआ है. So as the need keep on changing, the human landscapes also will change. Humans try to fulfill the needs in order. They will try to fulfill first lower order need and they will move towards higher order. जैसे कोई village है, how are the needs in the village? They are again very basic, right? How is the interaction of the people with the environment? It is relatively less. Urban area में क्या हो रहा है? In urban area, the needs are higher order. Needs are not only basic, the need is social, the need is security need may be the consumer product, right? तो इसमें क्या होगा? The interaction with the environment also will change, right? So need are dynamic. There is a hierarchy. That is why the human land. Now, when you compare between physical landscape and human landscape, which are more changing fast? Human landscape. That is why we say human landscapes are more dynamic, or anthroposphere is more dynamic. It is fast changing. Anthroposphere will change more rapidly. Just take example, what is the region of NCR in 2024, right? And what will be the region of NCR in 2054, right? Will it remain same? What was the region of NCR in 1950? अब ये Delhi region was this much, now it has increased to this, right? लेकिन यहाँ पर in the Delhi region we are also having the mountain like Aravalli, but is Aravalli changing to that extent like Delhi has changed? No, right? So this human landscapes also will change, but the change in human landscape will be a slow process. Sorry, change in physical landscape will be a slow process. Human landscapes are more dynamic, right? So we are saying that how man is interacting with the environment depends on need, and need will be primarily determined by the characteristic of population. How is the population of that area will determine need. Character of population, or you can say this is attributes of population, and this will be studied as what? Demography. So what we are getting here is, yes, what we get? Demography is the study of population. Why we need to study population in geography? Because it is going to determine human landscape, right? Therefore, demography is a branch of, kya? Demography, what we are studying now is human geography. So, जैसे physical geography we have already divided physical geography into three parts: geomorphology, climatology and oceanography. Human geography is further divided as, number one is the demography, study of population and its attribute, right? Number two, now when there is population, how is population sustaining itself? There should be some livelihood for the population, right? And this will be determined by availability of resource, right? Availability of resource, and we look at two things. It is distribution and consumption of the resources, right? What is a resource? How it is distributed? How it is consumed? Pattern of consumption, right? Utilization of the resource. This will be known as, what is this? This will be referred as economic geography, right? What is difference between economics and economic geography? What is difference between economics and economic geography? In economics, we only focus on what? Output, है ना? वो number आएगा आपके पास, that is GDP, GNP, NNP. This is what the final outcome of of the consumption of resource, but we don't focus on how is the pattern of क्या distribution, how is the pattern of consumption. In economic geography, जब geography word attach हो जाएगा, it is more about locational identity of that resource. So you say coal, अगर आप economics देखेंगे, what is coal? Coal is an energy resource, and you say how much is the thermal power production by coal, right? ये होगा economics part, right? When you say economic geography, how is coal? Coal is treated as resource, and you see the distribution of coal on the world map, distribution of coal on India map, right? And what type of coal it is, whether it is anthracite or bituminous or lignite, this will be there in economic geography, right? So the focus of economic geography is on distribution and consumption, utilization of the resource. Now can we say that population depends on resource, right? And resource consumption depends on population. These are interrelated. More is availability of resource, more will be growth of population. More is a growth of population, more will be the consumption of the resources. These two things are interrelated. So demography and economic geography. Now further, so when there is a population, when there is population, the population is bonded together, right? I am giving you all basic definition in this, because you will encounter these things when you read your NCERT. You should know the meaning. So population is bond together. It is acting as a single unit. What is binding force of the population is the language, right? Second, it can be the belief system, or if the belief is getting organized, this will be also known as religion, right? Language, belief, tradition, custom, if it gets a formal structure, that will be known as a religion, and this put together is known as, this will be referred as cultural geography. Or cultural geography mein we will again look at what? Same thing, that is distribution, spatial pattern. So focus of cultural geography is on spatial pattern of all these phenomena, right? So what is there? You study these things in religion, will be studied in sociology also, है ना? Religion is studied in sociology. But how you study religion in sociology? We see impact of religion on social institution, right? Impact on religion on social organization, impact on religion on social interaction. Lekin how is geographer looking at religion? Geographer is looking at religion as what? Spatial pattern. Are you getting this? मतलब आप अगर geographer हो, तो your idea, your basic objective of studying religion is not about how religion is going to impact marriage, right? How religion is going to impact the kinship, right? Your study is how is religion born and in which direction the religion has spread, which is the area coming under Christianity, which is the area coming under Hinduism, what is the area that is under Islam, right? That will be our perspective in what? Geography. That will be known as cultural geography. I hope you are getting this. So you should be able to differentiate between other subject and this part. So when you say language also, geographer perspective of language is birth of a language and diffusion of a language. In which direction the language got diffused. जैसे मान लीजिए हिंदी. Now Hindi born in, you have a basic language that is Braj Bhasha, Khadi Boli. Then you have diffusion of Hindi and interaction of Hindi. Towards west, it became, towards east, the Hindi became Awadhi, then you can see Bihari, then it merged with Bengali, like that. So you can see a diffusion of language. Towards the west, it is like Hindi to Rajasthani to Gujarati, some influence you find in Marathi also, right? So this will be the spatial pattern and diffusion of this phenomenon, right? So population and culture, these are interrelated. Can we say that the population is determined by culture? Yes or no? Population is determined by culture. The attribute of the population is influenced by culture. Can we also say that resource consumption is determined by culture? Yes or no? Economic activity depends on culture. What you are engaged in, right? How you derive your livelihood somewhere is also governed by culture. Just take example, agriculture. What is farmer cultivating? Mostly depends on the tradition, right? It is not very scientific at many places. It is more determined by traditions and custom. So what farmer cultivate is what his father was cultivating. What his father was cultivating was the legacy of his grandfather, right? In that way, it was a tradition that has determined the pattern of crop in that particular area. Just in northeast में you find many places are good for the cultivation of paddy, but paddy is not cultivated. There is a bamboo cultivation in that area. Bamboo is a part of what their tradition, right? So in that way, it is the population and culture related, resources and culture also related. Now, so cultural geography is another branch of human geography. Now when you say that population resource, then the fourth aspect is when population is clustered, this will be in the form of village, or it can be town, or it can be city, like this. So how is the grouping of the population? How is the clustering? This is the places of dwelling of the people, right? It starts with a very small group that is known as hamlet. So कोई एक forest में, deep interior of the forest, it is a group of some 5-6 huts, 5-6 houses, right? That is known as hamlet, which is more organized in some place, that is known as village. When it grows in size, that will be known as town and then city. In this way, what are all these? This will be referred as settlement, and the study of this will be known as settlement geography. इसका study settlement geography है. So what is settlement? Settlement is the place of dwelling. Group of places of dwelling is known as settlement, which we basically classify it as what? Rural and urban, right? Rural and urban settlement. Now, on what basis we are classifying rural and urban settlement? There can be population and resource consumption. If people are engaged in primary activity and population is less, that will be known as rural. If they are engaged in secondary, tertiary and population grows, that will be known as urban settlement. So we can see a link between population and resource with the settlement. And can we have a link between culture and settlement? Yes, right? Settlements are the representative of their culture, right? They say you can see architecture. At present we have cosmopolitan. Cosmopolitan is also a culture, right? So a particular pattern of housing is there. You can see this in the medieval period, the architecture, the wall type, the construction, right? The type of doors, windows, courtyard, all this is representing culture. So these are all interrelated. So what we got here? Population, resource, culture and settlement. अब ये सब अगर combine हो जाएगा, so you say that this is one area which has its own population which is having its own culture, which has some settlement, which has its own availability of resource, and this is supported by, at the foundation what you have for all these, this is supported by physical environment, right? ये कोई physical environment है, that is climatic condition, topography, etc., right? And this has all this. Now this starts appearing. इसका foundation क्या है? Population, culture, settlement and resource. The foundation of this is what? Physical environment, right? Now this is appearing different from what? Surrounding, है ना? ये जो area है इसका अपना एक identity होगा, right? This will be a birth of what? Region. A region is born, right? And this will be now studied as, क्या बोलेंगे? Regional geography. So regional geography is a branch of what? Human geography. So this is fifth one. What is a region? Region is a unique area that can be differentiated from surrounding, right? ये area को आप differentiate कर सकते हैं from the surrounding. It can be differentiated, any of this criteria or combination of the criteria can be there. It can be differentiated in terms of population, या population density हो सकता है, appearance of population character हो सकता है. It can be differentiated based on culture, language, religion, tradition. It can be differentiated based on cities, settlement, or it can be based on economic activity, जैसे primary, secondary and tertiary. You take agriculture of this region, क्या होगा? The crop that are cultivated are different from adjoining area, surrounding area. तो ये हो सकता है engagement of the people is different. ठीक है? So this is known as regional. This is known as regional geography. Now a person who is belonging to this region, because he belongs to this setup, what this person has done, he has developed a strong bond with his place, right? And when this person A is interacting with this person B, now what is determined? A interaction with B is determined by where is B belonging to. If B also belongs to this, क्या होगा? The interaction will increase, right? If B is belonging to some other region, interaction will decrease, right? Now a sense of attachment this A is carrying with his place, right? The tendency to defend his place, tendency to defend his people, culture, places and activities, right? And that will be now referred as, इसको क्या बोलेंगे? This is known as regionalism, right? So when the people are interacting, when they interact based on their locational identity, that will be referred as regionalism. Are you getting this? So when you are interacting with other, you also try to identify that whether that person belongs to your place or not, right? That is known as regionalism. You put your interest of location ahead when you are interacting. ये चाहे political interaction हो, social interaction हो, economic interaction हो, economic transaction हो, right? Then you say that no, I will interact because of the locational identity. Then that will be known as regionalism, right? So somebody approaches you and he is asking for some loan, right? आप पहले चेक करते हैं where he belongs to, right? Now where he belongs to, if you find that he belongs to your place, that is much better. He is belonging to your own district, it is still more better, right? Then you say, you develop a confidence that yes, this interaction is more possible. ये क्या है? This is a regionalism, right? So when people interact, they put this interest forward. This is regionalism. So every region carries a unique identity, right? And if the region, what is regionalism? A sense of attachment, right? Sense of attachment. The idea to defend one's own region is known as regionalism, and regionalism is both the force of integration and force of differentiation, right? So how people interact, they may interact more because of this, and they may also develop some distance between each other because of this factor of regionalism, right there. Regionalism is the force of integration and differentiation. Force of integration and differentiation. So now see, if this is a region R1 and this is a region R2, two regions are there. Region R1 has its own culture. You can say here C1 is the culture of this and C2 is the culture of this, right? What is the trait of a culture? Culture will always try to retain its identity at its place, right? Culture generally shift nahi hota hai. So culture C1 is holding this area R1, C2 is holding this area R2, means culture tries to maintain status quo, right? Status quo at its place, and culture is trying to diffuse. Means what this C1 will do? C1 will try to influence C2 and C2 will try to influence what? C1. Now these influences can be indirect or direct influence. In the process, see, when C2 is entering into the region of C1, what C1 will do? C1 will try to resist it, right? Similarly, when C1 is entering into C2, C2 will try to resist it. So यहाँ पर there is one resistance developed between R1 and R2, right? One region is trying to establish a supremacy over other, but there is a resistance between the two, right? And this will be referred as, what is this? This will be referred as geopolitics or political geography. So simple meaning of geopolitics is what? Two regional identities trying to interact with each other and trying to establish supremacy over one another, right? That is known as geopolitics. This is number 6, or this is known as political geography, right? So we got this as, all these are branches of what? Human geography. What we have studied is the branch of human geography. Ab dekhiye. Now coming back, so human geography represents man and interaction with the environment. So overall we are getting that geography is about understanding relationship between man and environment. Now come to this, what is happening? Here the man's identity, man is a part of biosphere and man has created his own environment known as anthroposphere. What is happening to this anthroposphere? The size of this anthroposphere is growing, it is expanding. Now as anthroposphere has expanded, what has happened? It has encroached over all the other spheres. So why it is so? Why is that anthroposphere is expanding? Why anthroposphere is expanding? This is because of the philosophy of anthropocentricism, right? What is meaning of anthropocentricism? See, this philosophy has grown after the 16th century AD, right? What is anthropocentric? Anthropocentricism. Cism hai ism. ism is a philosophy, right? So anthropocentrism का मतलब क्या है? That man is the center of every interaction. Human needs have to be prioritized. Human need have to be given importance over anything else. ठीक है? So what is happening? If human needs have to be prioritized, as it means that as the need arises, man should try to search for the avenues for fulfilling that need. तो क्या होगा? Because of anthropocentrism, man's interaction with environment will, anthropocentrism not only is fulfilling the need but it is also multiplying the need, क्योंकि need तो hierarchy में operate हो रहा है ना. Need is never ending, right? Need is not, you don't have end of the needs, right? So what we can say, that one need is fulfilled, it will give rise to the second need. तो यहाँ पर the issue is that anthropocentrism, which was floated from Western world, and it was the philosophy. Now Indian culture has never been in favor of anthropocentrism. We were more, another contrasting philosophy is biocentrism, right? Biocentric. Now biocentric means we are more in favor of environment, right? What is biocentrism says? Biocentrism says that there should be equal treatment to all, right? What is anthropocentrism saying? Anthropocentrism is humans are more important, human needs are more important, human needs to be given priority. By hook or crook you should fulfill what? Human needs. Do anything, fulfill the human need. So you are having a craving of so and so, right? Now you take your mobile phone and order from Swiggy and fulfill it, right? That is, if in a day 10 times you are having a craving for certain type of food items, 10 times you are fulfilling it, right? Means what? Are you consuming according to the requirement of body? No, you are, what you are doing? Overconsumption, right? So here it is man's interaction with the environment has increased because of anthropocentrism. There is another view that is known as biocentrism. Biocentrism is where it says that man and other creatures that are present, they have equal right to survive. Lekin anthropocentrism doesn't talk about that. It says that man has the right to survive at the cost of others, right? At the cost of other, you need to focus on your need here, right? So anthropocentrism, this became very popular after the industrial revolution, and the Western culture is based on this philosophy of anthropocentrism. So westernization mein, what is the character of westernization? Need and fulfillment of the need. Need arises, need multiply, the culture itself is having a tendency to multiply need. This is more supporting consumerism, right? So you have like 2 or 3 pairs of shoes, but consumerism or anthropocentrism doesn't stop here, right? यहाँ पर क्या है? It will say that no, this color is better, you can buy one more, right? This pattern is better, you can buy one more. You are going for walking, you need another shoes. You come to class, you need another shoes. You are jogging, another shoes. So आपके पास how many pairs you are having now? 50 pairs. Are they required? No, right? So for one shoe, for making of one shoe, if it is something like burdening on the resource, the consumption of the resource has increased, right? So this philosophy of anthropocentrism, क्या हुआ है? The relationship between man and environment, क्या हुआ? Is it in the state of balance? No, it got imbalanced. We can say that there is an imbalance between imbalance between man and environment. So how is man? Man is utilizing kya? Resource, and he is not only utilizing, he is exploiting the resources, right? Over consuming the resources. How is environment? How is environment? Now, is environment passive? Is environment not retaliating? The answer is no. Environment is deterministic. Means what? There is a philosophy of determinism. Determinism का मतलब ये है, what is determinism? Environment determine. Environment has a capability to retaliate. है ना? Environment is having a capability to retaliate, and based on this, so determinism was given by Charles Darwin, right? So what is determinism? What is philosophy of determinism saying? That environment is having certain what? Threshold. Threshold का मतलब है upper limit. Environment is providing resource to the man, but how much he can utilize? He can utilize up to certain level, right? But what has man done? Man has crossed this threshold, है ना? So what is the result of this? The environment has retaliated back, and that is what is the reason for suffering of man, right? What we are experiencing today is the retaliation of environment, yes or no? Online students, what we are suffering today is the result of determinism, right? And the problem lies in where? Imbalance between man and environment. So you name the challenge. Maybe it is disasters, epidemic, pandemic, migrations, conflict, poverty, unemployment, anything, right? We can find the problem lies between man's imbalance with the environment. Now what is the role of geography? अब ये geographer का role क्या है? Geographer is to provide what? Solution to this problem, right? So you will be looking at this as a core perspective of geography. Are you getting this? So right there, the modern perspective of geography is to provide solution for balancing relation between man and environment. Balancing relation between man and environment. Without? No, determinism, even if man is not there, right? Determinism still exists. That is what determinism says. Who is supreme? Environment is supreme, right? You have some interaction with some topper, rank number 8th rank, right? He will be coming and addressing you now. Up to this part it is clear to everyone, right? See, when we discuss about, yes please, when we discuss about man's relation with the environment, right? अब इसमें दो fundamental thing is on what framework we are analyzing this. One school of thought says that environment is supreme. That is known as determinism, right? This is what Darwin was saying is natural selection. survival of the fittest, struggle for existence. In all this, what Darwin has hinted is who is struggling? Environment is not struggling, species has to struggle. Who is to prove that it is suitable for existence? Is species, right? And who is selecting? Nature is selecting. Means here it is indicating the supremacy of environment. On other side, there are other school of thought which is saying that man cannot sacrifice the other creatures, other species, environment for his benefit. There should be balance between this. Therefore, man's needs are not the priority. They should not be given priority over the existence of the other. This is known as biocentrism, right? और एक इसमें extreme view है, that is known as deep ecology. Deep ecology is where which says that organisms are more important than human existence, right? So even you can sacrifice the human needs for the survival of others. What was said by Jainism, right? That is known as deep ecology. Biosphere is, somebody is asking difference between biosphere and anthroposphere. The physical environment with all the life form, that will be known as a biosphere. Now you got this idea of how is man's interaction with the environment, right? Note down some points here, right? The philosophy of determinism is based on principles given by Charles Darwin. Principles given by Charles Darwin. It is based on, determinism is based on environmental supremacy. Environmental supremacy. Right, underline this. Environmental supremacy means who is supreme? Environment is supreme. Next point. Biocentrism focuses on equal right to existence of all the species, equal right to the existence of all the species. Human needs, next point, human needs should not be prioritized. Human needs should not be prioritized over others. Next point means biocentrism is basically coexistence, the harmonious relationship between man and other life forms, right? Next, deep ecology has a cultural roots. Deep ecology has a cultural roots or religious, it is a influenced by religious philosophy which focuses on giving importance to other life forms, over the human needs, giving importance to other life form over the human need. जैसे deep ecology का जो birth है, roots है, that can be traced to the philosophy from Jainism. Jैसे if you want to cultivate, right? Now in Jainism, agriculture is not very much promoted because agriculture, the plowing of soil may cause harm to life forms, right? So here agriculture should be restricted, right? Cultivation should be restricted, means you should not fulfill your needs by sacrificing other creatures, right? So that is the meaning of deep ecology. So we have two ends of man's environment relationship. One is saying that, so between relationship between man and environment, one says that environment is supreme. This is known as determinism, and other is saying man is supreme. What is this known as? This is referred as possibilism, right? What is possibilism? It believes in the ability of man, right there. The philosophy of possibilism, philosophy of possibilism believes in the ability of man to modify environment, ability of man to modify environment to fulfill his needs, Next point, possibilism is close to, बताइए, possibilism is close to anthropocentrism. Possibilism, the philosophy of possibilism is close to anthropocentrism, right? So we got here the idea of branches of geography. Geography divided into two, that is physical and human. World physical geography, we are now covering this as 3 chapters, right? So we'll start with the first one, that is chapter 1, geomorphology. First take down the syllabus for this. Close to anthropocentrism. Possibilism is close to anthropocentrism. What is anthropocentrism? The humans are at the center of interaction with the environment. Human need to be at the center of interaction with the environment. Huh? No, it is not the part. We'll see, these are more, that is one end philosophy, that is one dimensional. Done. So next one, start with geomorphology. Note down the syllabus. You need to maintain the decorum of the class, right? Don't be disturbed and unstable in the class. अगर आप ऐसे डिस्टर्ब रहोगे, अनस्टेबल रहोगे क्लास में, it is not helping the teacher to cover the syllabus, right? So we have less time to cover the topics. We cannot waste time. I'm talking on behalf of all the faculties, by giving sermons and motivation in every class. We assume that you are motivated enough to come to the classes and sincerely listen to what is going on in the class, right? तो यहाँ पर उतना lose time है नहीं कि आपको 15-20 मिनट every class we keep on telling you behave yourself and be cool, calm and sit, concentrate. We don't say all these things. It is understood that when you are coming to the class, you are coming for attending the class and listening. Have maturity, gain maturity. First, develop ability to listen. पहले सुनो क्या चल रहा है, क्या बोलना चाह रहे हैं टीचर्स, राइट? उसके बाद आप रिस्पॉन्ड करिए. Listen to the class make the class notes, go back and read from the reference book, compare and contrast, right? And after that you will be getting some doubts, right? Then you can approach, definitely you can approach the teachers and get that doubt clarified. अभी आप सुना नहीं, आपको डाउट आ रहा है, right? So that is indicating a level of immaturity. होता है स्टार्टिंग में, इट इज लाइक यू फील, क्योंकि आपका एक डेस्परेटनेस है दैट we will as early as possible I should crack this exam. That is fine, but the desperateness should not spoil your preparation. This needs maturity, this needs patience. तो पहले आप patiently समझिए, try to first listen to what faculty is saying, what they are teaching. First try to inculcate all that. Have a thought on what you are writing. Go back and read the class notes. थोड़ा उस पे सोचिए, है ना? After that, when you are comparing with the resources, when you get some really a good doubt, yes, you can come to the teachers and get it clarified. Don't jump to the conclusion just by listening one or two sentences, right? It is just a beginning of what we are trying to over a period going to teach. So if you are, for everything you are having a ready response, right? Predetermined response. आप preconceived notion से चल रहे हैं कि I am going to respond to this particular topic. I will ask doubt in this. Don't have that. I will ask doubt in this. It is not necessary that in every class you will get the doubt. It is not required also, because most of the teachers who teach you here, they know that where you are going to get doubt, what type of doubt you are going to get, right? And how this can be addressed progressively in the topic ahead, right? We know these things. It is not that you are like a first batch we are teaching. Every year there are around 30 batches. So I have been teaching for 20 years, you can calculate. So in that way, it is, first is from your side what is required is patience level. थोड़ा patient रखिए और time दीजिए. You subjects need time. You cannot rush. You can rush in revision. एक बार जब सारा कुछ complete हो जाएगा, then yes, in revision the time required for revision will be comparatively less. If you are spending 12 months in completing one we can say cycle of preparation, revision will require only 2 to 3 months time, right? But from beginning you cannot read like what you are revising. You need to spend time on the subject. You need to spend time with that chapter, with that paragraph, with that line. You have to consciously read that line. Then only you will be able to understand and interpret the thing. अगर आप conscious नहीं है about what you are reading, why you are reading, up to what extent you are reading, your preparation will go haphazard, it will be random. After 6 months you will not know where are you, right? 6 months from now, right? So this is April. By November you meet me. If you don't follow this, you will be in the jungle of information where you will, मतलब आपको तब ये लगेगा नवंबर में, दिसंबर में, that where are we, where am I, who am I, right? So this will be identity crisis will be there कि क्या चल क्या रहा है, right? This will happen if you do not follow the pace of teacher. दूसरा, आपके पास, आपके माइंड में जो भी ये थॉट है कि आई विल आस्क डाउट फॉर एवरीथिंग, ये साइड में रख दीजिए, राइट? देयर इज नो क्वेश्चन ऑफ डाउट हियर. डाउट्स कैन बी देयर, बट एज यू आर वेरी न्यू टू द सब्जेक्ट, you might have studied geography, but you are studying maybe in 12th standard or maybe some graduation you have studied, not beyond that. So you don't have that knowledge of the subject where you can really compare and contrast when the information is given to you in the class. थोड़ा बहुत उसको पढ़ेंगे, थोड़ा समझेंगे, उसके बाद आपको डाउट आना शुरू होगा, right? And that will be a real doubt, that we can say that they are authentic doubt. They are not just for the sake of asking, right? So we'll begin with the first chapter, that is geomorphology. Note down the syllabus for this. This is chapter of World Physical Geography. इसका weightage जो है prelims, you can expect some 2 questions in prelims, and mains this will be there in GS paper 1, right? GS paper 1, again 1 or 2 question. So around 15 to 25 marks from this chapter in mains exam. ठीक है? Now note down first top, इसका reference भी लिख लीजिए. Reference is the class notes. Then there is one yellow book, concepts of geography, provided to you, that you can refer along with NCERT class 11th. This is fundamentals of physical geography, right? Fundamentals of physical geography. I am not recommending here G.C. Leong, right? G.C. Leong is not very much required for geomorphology. It will be more required in Manocha sir's topic, that is climatology and oceanography. So these 3 sources will be more than sufficient, plus 1 atlas, right? Any of the atlas what you have. Okay? So class notes, yellow book and NCERT. To begin with, focus on class notes and focus on NCERT. Third reference after completing class notes and NCERT, third will be your yellow book, right? Yellow book is something like a factual supplement to what you have learned in the class and NCERTs. Okay? So note down here, first is landforms, evolution and classification. Number 2, endogenetic forces. Third is interior of Earth. First is landform, evolution and classification. Number 2, endogenetic forces, interior of Earth. Fourth is geomagnetism. Fifth one is exogenetic force. So here we have concept of weathering and erosion. Exogenetic forces, the concept of weathering and erosion. Next, landforms created by erosional processes. Landforms created by the erosional process. Number 1 is the fluvial landforms, right? Fluvial landform means created by what? Created by water as an agent of erosion. So fluvial landform. Number 2 is Aeolian landforms. This is by what? This is wind process. This is sand dunes hota hai, right? So this will study. Third is the glacial landforms created by glacier. Last year one question was there from this. So, and fourth is the karst landforms. Karst landform is the region of what? limestone. Landforms created in the region of limestone rocks. है ना, जहाँ पर limestone is dominant, that is known as a karst topography or karst landform. So we have 6 topics. Subtopics are this. Now 7th is volcanism. 8th is earthquakes. 9th is surface configuration of the earth. Surface configuration of earth. ठीक है. So surface configuration of earth, we have 3 concepts here. Number 1 is the concept of continental drift. Right. ये theories है. We'll see this as a concept in GS. In optional, we study it as a complete theory. So concept of continental drift given by Alfred Wegener. This was of 1912. Then number 2 is sea floor spreading. The concept of sea floor spreading. This was by, again, American geologist Harry Hess, published in 1962. And the third important is the concept of plate tectonics. Plate tectonic theory, this is by Jason Morgan and Wilson. Names are not that important in GS, but people with optional can refer this. So Jason Morgan and Wilson, 1967. So these are the evolutionary concepts, right? In the sense that these theories have evolved. They say continental drift gave rise to sea floor spreading, and sea floor spreading further gave rise to plate tectonics. So which is the most upgraded version? Plate tectonic. So plate tectonic is considered to be the most scientific theory explaining what? Surface configuration of the earth. How is the arrangement of the fold mountain, how the continents got arranged, how oceans are formed, wide distribution of volcanism, wide distribution of earthquake, what are the regions of high intensity and low intensity earthquake and volcanism. All this can be explained with the help of plate tectonics. Now this is the syllabus. In this, where you should focus on the topics for mains exam. देखिए, continental drift and sea floor spreading. If at all question is asked here, this will be in mains, right? Don't expect much of the questions in prelims here. ठीक है? Objective question from this 2 topic is less because already the theme of this has been merged with plate tectonic. इसलिए यहाँ पर possibility of the objective question is less. If objective question are asked in this, they will be asked on the evidence of continental drift or evidence of sea floor spreading. ये जो topic है plate tectonic, this is very important, most important topic of this and important for both prelims and mains. So plate tectonic theory is important for both prelims and mains. Continental drift and sea floor spreading is important for only mains. So structure of the answer can be there for this topic. See, volcanism and earthquake, important for both prelims and mains. This topic, earthquake, can be extended further to what? Disaster management. You can see this as the seismic zones of India, right? Extending this further, it is in mains exam to disaster management, the seismic zone of India and earthquake management. Okay? Now, what about this one? See, landforms created by erosional process. See, this is more a factual topic and this is primarily required for prelims. ये prelims के लिए है. You can do it from the prelims perspective only. यहाँ पर अगर कोई question mains में आता भी है, what you can do is you can put that information together and write it, right? As such, you don't need structuring of answer for this particular part. So, objective questions from this topic of landforms created by the erosional process. Exogenetic weathering and erosion. This will be important for only prelims exam. So, basic concept है important for prelims. Geomagnetism again important for only prelims, and this is important topic, right? Geomagnetism is important. Interior of earth is important for both prelims and mains, right? Interior of earth, and interior of the earth can be connected, this topic you can relate it with the seismic waves, right? Seismic waves, seismic model of earth's interior, and initial two topics, that is, these are again fundamental, they are only required for prelims. Okay? So in that way we have identified the topics that are important for prelims and mains. So wherever we have marked it as mains, you should be able to have the structure of the answer to write around 150 to 200 words, right? So this is the syllabus for first chapter of World Physical Geography, that is geomorphology. I will be covering the topics in the same sequence, right? तो ये आपके पास एक reference रहेगा so that you can prepare the chapter systematically, and when you are referring NCERT and Yellow Book, you should refer in the same sequence, right? Don't break the sequence here. This is required because it is the topics are in that way that they are required in the next topic, right? So like you are doing this weathering and erosion, this will be required in the landform, right? And when you are doing this exogenetic, it is also required in volcanism, like this. So they are interrelated topics. So to begin with, let us understand what is the fundamental concept of landform. What is geomorphology? Geomorphology is the study of landforms, right? So we'll start in next class, as now we are having interaction with the 8th rank. So what you can do is you can take a break of 1 or 2 minutes and they will be arriving soon, right? Online students, we'll start in next class. Thank you.
Good morning, all of you. We have with us Mr. Ashish Kumar, who has got the All India 8th rank in this year's Civil Services exam. So welcome, Mr. Ashish. So thank you very much for giving a big hand to him. And he studied sociology optional subject in this institute. We requested him to come and share his experience of having prepared for this exam, and he was kind enough to have agreed for this. He will deliver a small talk for about 45 minutes, sharing his experience of how to prepare at stages, different stages of your preparation. Thereafter, he will take your questions. You can ask your questions relating to your preparation. He will answer them. So thank you very much. Now Harish. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Good morning, everyone. So, how's the Josh? अरे लग नहीं रहा यार. चलो, how's the Josh? Yes, I saw you yesterday, right? Maybe in that class. My name is Ashish Kumar, and I have secured All India rank 8th this year after failing 4 times. This was my 5th attempt. Let me give a brief recap of my journey. I started preparing in 2018 after resigning from a corporate job in Gurgaon. So I did sociology optional coaching from here itself under Dr. Subhash Mohapatra during July to around October 2018. So for till December 2018, around 6 months, I stayed in ORN somewhere near that Mother Dairy. And after that, I left because the atmosphere did not suit me. Like I am staying at my room and studying full day. I did not have any coaching for general studies at that time. So I just left, and since then I've been preparing from my home. And in 2019, when I gave my first attempt, I could clear prelims, but I failed in mains. In the second attempt, I failed in prelims. In the third attempt, again the history repeated. I cleared prelims, but again failed mains. And the fourth attempt, as you can guess, the pattern repeated itself. I failed in prelims itself in fourth attempt. And this was my fifth attempt, so this time I cleared all. A brief summary, if I may give you, like why this many failures, why again and again prelims, mains. So the journey would be, so the mantra would be that at some points of time, I used to neglect, like sometimes I am focusing on prelims, sometimes I am focusing solely on mains. So that siloed approach, it caused me this loss, and I had to prepare again and again. So my just a little advice to you at this point would be, like whenever you are preparing, focus on both prelims and mains simultaneously. You are studying a topic, complete a topic in full, attempt a mock test, that 100 question mock test for prelims, any coaching, whatever you feel like. The MCQ sectional portion, I emphasize you should attempt that, and you should write a mains test also after completing a topic. You may get whatever marks, it does not matter. Marks do not matter at this stage. You just have to attempt the paper. That you are able to write 20 questions, you are able to write them in a manner that suits you, and you are able to write them in a manner that you would yourself want yourself to write. For example, place yourself in the position of the examiner. Like you are an examiner, you are checking an answer script. So you should see whether I am satisfied with my answer or not. I did not do much of the answer writing because my focus was quality over quantity. I did not feel that I should write like 10 marks, 20 marks for mains. I just took one question at a time, and I timed it. For 10 marker, initially I would take 9 minutes. Then I would time it, I would write it, and then I would myself evaluate it, whether I am satisfied with it or not. If I am satisfied with my answer, see, it's not easy for yourself to be satisfied with your answer. You will be highly disappointed initially with your answers, like what have I written? Examiner will not give any marks to it. You should have that disappointment initially. Slowly when you progress, slowly when you start writing, then you will get that confidence that my answers are improving. That improvement should be seen in your answer. So for me, it worked. For me, when I used to write 10 marker or 15 marker, I properly timed it, and I myself evaluated it. One more thing in answer writing, which I did, I shared yesterday also, that we follow a top-down approach in answer writing. Like the question is there, suppose any question is there, we read the question and we explain the keywords and we start writing the answer to it. So that is the usual thing, but for practice, I did another thing, that if a question is there, I have written an answer. So what I would do, I would read the answer first, then I would try to derive the question from that answer. Okay, so now if I am satisfied that I can derive the question from it, although I have myself written that answer, so I would remember the question. But what I would do, I would just take a photograph of that answer only, hiding the question, and send it to someone, and I would ask them, like, just try to guess the question. What would have been the question of this answer which I have written? So if they can guess the question to up to like 80%, 90% of the accuracy, then my work is done, because I have derived the answer, I have derived from the question. So that should be the level of your answer. People say that what should be the metric of your answer writing? So that should be the metric. Your answer should reflect the question. Whenever an examiner is reading your answer, he might forget the question. But whenever he's going through answer, your answer should reflect that quality, that he gets the idea of question at each and every line. At each and every, after reading a paragraph, he gets the understanding that this was the question. So content may not matter that much. This year there were many questions which required very specific content. Some factual questions were there, like dam failure. Example, have you seen the papers? Anyone? क्या कर रहे हो यार, पेपर तो देख लिया करो. So when are you appearing? 25, but still you should see papers. So this year there was questions like examples of dam failures in mains and some examples of anti-competitive activities also. They are asked specifically for those examples. So I did not remember those examples, so naturally I could not write. And if I write wrong, then I would not get any marks. So I did not write, but I made it a case that I write other things well, because I do not know this part, then I have to compensate it with other things. So the same question, the two examples I may not remember, but the whole question I have to attempt in a manner that the examiner understands that this student, he just does not know those two examples. Otherwise he knows. So that understanding you have to give to the examiner. And one more thing regarding prelims, this year I have got 68 in CSAT. So it was just a matter of one question. So one question wrong, out of the race. And that I emphasize because I had got 150 in 2021. So that was, I think that is a passing marks for two students. Two students may pass in that. So from coming down from 150 to 68, I want to emphasize, I want to caution you that please don't take CSAT lightly. CSAT is getting way too tougher over the years. I have come down from 150 to 68. So 68 to 65 is not a big deal for a person to come down, and it would be out of race. So, and my optional was sociology. For sociology, I did classes under Mahapatra sir, as I told. And how many of you are having sociology? Quite a few, not many. So, for sociology, I would take a brief. I would say that my primary source was sir's class notes, because sir teaches very well and he uses those real life examples, anecdotes, incidents. So they are very good to understand, and they are very good in remembering the concept for a long time. You cannot remember this very difficult theories just by reading them out of books. If you have some incident associated with it, if you have some examples, then it becomes easy for you to remember them over a long time, especially in the exam. And if you see, this year's sociology paper was a bit more on the applied side. It was not purely theoretical. So applied, when the questions become applied, then you need to know the application of those theories in real life. You need to bring out examples from people or cases around you. So that helped. But one word of caution in this direction also, don't just rely on the notes, because sir tells a lot of things, and when we are attending classes, we do not know what is important. So we write based on our selective understanding, and we miss out a lot of things. And this happens in other classes also. So for that, you have to go through books. For me, when I wrote mains first time, I got 233 marks in sociology, quite a low marks. And in the second time, when I wrote, my marks got reduced. I got 225. So this was a setback for me at that stage, like my optional is not performing up to this point, and I should change optional and all those things. But then I thought that I think it's a case of incremental attempt. If I increase my attempt a little more in this optional only, I may have a good chance. So I did that. What I did, I augmented my resources. For example, for paper 1 and paper 2, first I read IGNOU material, which is there available for both the papers. For second paper, IGNOU was the only secondary source for me apart from the class notes. For paper 1, I had to refer, because in paper 1 my score was very low, around 108 and 104, and this time it is 155. So paper 1 has improved a lot. So I would share what I did in paper 1. So for paper 1, I referred to Harlambus, the big one, blue one, big one, not the small one. I read around half of it. I would say I read half of it, because I've developed an interest in reading that book, because it's beautifully written. So when you start reading it, you develop interest, and then I found out that even Harlambus may not work in the exam, because you need something more, you need keywords. So those keywords, so I found out that I should read Ritzer. So Ritzer is a very tough book to read. It only goes like 5 pages per hour. So it takes patience, but the utility is very high, way too high. So because there are ready-made definitions in Ritzer, ready-made keywords are there, very, very beautifully written phrases are there. So I made it a case that I underline them properly, I mark the most important ones out of them, and I revise them again and again so that I may remember them in the exam. So I made it a case that I should remember those phrases. So only writing plain answers may not work for me. It might work for some other person depending on the skill of writing. But for me, those phrases mattered. And I remembered all those phrases which I intended to. And I wrote those phrases, those keywords, and they fetched marks, and my score improved from 104 to 155, a 51 marks improvement. So that was their brief journey for GS. I think it's a very big topic. So I think we should have an interaction right now that I will answer your questions. I have explained a brief, so I'll take questions. Just raise your hand first. Yes.
Any approach to take a
CSAT
CSAT paper?
paper. Actually, I might not be authority in CSAT. I have just scored 68 marks, but I would tell you what I did. For the first 4 attempts, I did not take CSAT that seriously because I could score marks. But this time, my marks were coming down from 150 to 88. I had come in 2022, so I knew that CSAT is going to be a problem for me. So what I did for some of the topics like probability, PNC, these are tougher topics, and number system, I refer to YouTube videos only, that some lectures are there. You can just Google and find. So those lectures I referred and I made notes of that. So whole CSAT I had around 3-page notes. Smaller the better, I would say. So around 3-page notes, I revised them before the actual exam, and I think by that only I was saved this year, because I do not attempt English questions in CSAT, because the second phase of paper, the 230 to 430, I think, that time is very much heavy for me, because the night before the prelims exam, I always do not get sleep. And after failing 4 times in the 5th attempt, there was too much anxiety that whether I would clear this time or not. And the morning paper was also a bit tricky this time. Especially the pattern and the type of questions asked. So that took a toll that I would not be very active during the second half. So I attempted only the maths portion, not the English portion. So if you attempt English portion, then you would have to look for someone else, like that. You have to find your strength, whether you are strong in comprehension or logical reasoning or maths part. I was strong in logical reasoning and maths part. English, I attempted this time. I attempted around three comprehensions, and out of the two are wrong. So 0. Yes. Yes. When I started preparation, I used to make notes out of the Hindu. I referred only the Hindu, but I referred it religiously. Every day I would read the Hindu. How much time are you taking in reading paper? 3 hours. ऐसा क्या आ रहा है पेपर में? Now, I know the text and context part takes time, but still 3 hours is way too high. Just try to reduce it to 1.5. You have to find out which editorials are important. Not every editorial is important. You have to filter out. Because others, 3 hours in newspaper is not going to do any better approach. So just try to reduce that time to 1.5 hours and slowly make it under an hour. And regarding notes part, you may take notes, because nowadays in newspapers very factual informative things are coming, and they might not be covered up in monthly magazines. So you may take notes. I did take notes in my first and second attempt. Then after that I left taking notes. I did not take notes. That was there. And if you are taking 3 hours in taking newspaper, reading newspaper, then do not do anything apart from that for current affairs, like daily compilation, all those things. Otherwise you would be stuck in current affairs. Just read the newspaper and monthly compilations. In essay, I have got lower marks, 116. So strategy would be, चलता है क्या? No, I am old school. Suppose this is your copy. I did all those things yesterday also in another class. In essay, basically now philosophical essays and sociological essays are gaining prominence. That is there. Topical essays are very less, seldom they are asked. So if a topical essay is asked, then you have to have data about that. You have to have the particular information about that essay. So I was comfortable in philosophical essays because that gives you horizon to think. You can go in any direction. That direction just should be linked to the topic of the essay. So for me, philosophical essays were good. There are various ways to write essay. You have to find out what way suits you best. For example, some people would say that you should start from a quote, then explain the quote like that. Some people would say that you should write an anecdote, a real life anecdote, a fictional story, whatever you prefer, and then you should explain that anecdote and progress from that. What I did, I combined both of them. Let's do a new thing. So first I would write a quote like this, and very simple quote. Maybe Gandhi, Vivekananda, Tagore, very simple quote. I did not write very fancy quotes because I cannot remember. Then I would write, just after the quote, I would write anecdote. And for me, the utility of real life anecdotes was higher than fictional anecdotes. Because fictional anecdote, you have to think and you have to come up with a situation. But if you can think of a real life anecdote, if a real life story of some successful person, then it will hit harder. The examiner will definitely come to know that the student has attended to the demand of the essay. For example, there was an essay this year on this talent and ingenuity. I don't remember the combination of two. So in that essay, I use anecdote of Dr. Vikram Sarabhai because his contribution towards science and similarly towards society was equally matched. So that was actually the demand of that essay. So I wrote some quote, I don't remember which one, but I wrote this Vikram Sarabhai anecdote. And from that I progressed. So like that you will write essays. This is the last page. So now what I would do, I would make it a symmetry like this. Essay is coming. This is the body. I would take this anecdote here. The penultimate thing of the essay. That whatever the fictional or the real life anecdote which I have written, I would draw inspiration from that, and after writing all the body of the essay, I would definitely write a few lines drawing from this, like he did that thing because of this. Something to summarize, or some fictional story there, Mohan Sohan is there, so I would summarize that story here, and then one more quote. So that my essay looks symmetrical, started from a quote, anecdote, then body, then anecdote, then quote. Now, you might think that essay strategy, when I talk about topical essays, you have to have data, but I think for topical essays, your GS syllabus is way too much. Like if you have memorized your syllabus, then these topical essays are not that difficult. You just have to go through the syllabus. Whenever a topic is asked, you just need to remember, okay, GS1, first topic is ancient and medieval history. So for this topic, can I bring something from that portion? Then modern history, can I bring something from that portion? If you progress like that, you would reach security. So there are around 10, 15 dimensions. So your essay will definitely have this many dimensions on that topical essay, and it is more than enough. You just have to address dimensions. This exam is about diversity, the horizontal width, not that much depth, because depth is not required. You just have to go and touch various dimensions, various aspects of a topic. That is there. For philosophical essay, depth is required. So for that, we all are philosophers in our private space. That is there. We all think whenever we are alone. So those thinkings have to be implemented in the paper. Although in a bit flowery manner, you have to write things, but you have to link them to the demand of the essay. Okay, so philosophical essays are a bit easy if you think. You just have to understand exactly what the examiner is asking, and if you can decode that, you will write very good essays. Yes.
I'm starting is a lot of fiction, but last time I understood the concept. While I'm analyzing, it is something easy.
So what's your option? Philosophy optional. Yeah, I don't have much idea about that, but I would treat it as a humanities optional. I think for this humanities optional, I think thinkers are there. A lot of thinkers are there, and their sayings are there. So for that, sometimes what I did for GS also, I used to make a lot of mnemonics. Whatever. My mnemonics used to be very some bizarre ones, because the more bizarre your mnemonic is, the easier to remember it is and easier to recall it at the time. So for most of the papers, I used to make those mnemonics to remember, and For optional, you would have to have multiple revisions. There is no substitute to revision in optional. You will have to revise it again and again, and writing is also very important. So you have to have that strong heart to revise again and again, because revision is a thing which we all are afraid of doing. I think if we are provided a new book, we will finish it, but when we are asked to read that book, same book again, nahi yaar, koi dusri book de do. So I used to do that for even history. I had around 7-8 books. They are there lying somewhere. But then I realized that reading other books is not good. Reading the same book again and again, it benefits more. So then I again switched to Spectrum, for example, for modern history. Yeah, I'm not getting a question. For optional. So I did topical revision, I would say, or chapter wise. For optional, I can say that there is a particular order of chapters in optional, but I made my own order that I am comfortable with. The most interesting chapters I would place first, and the least interesting I would place at the last. So that was my style, so that my interest develops in revising that subject, because revision is very much boring. You have to make it interesting anyway, which suits you. For me, it worked. That most interesting chapter I would place at the top, then decrease. So once interest starts developing in revision, then you would definitely reach to the most boring chapter. If you place the most boring chapter at the top or somewhere at the upper portion, then it becomes a bit difficult. You have to find out what works for you. For me, I did what I never did two things in a day. If I am reading GS, if I am reading economy, then I would read economy for 3 days. Once I finish that, engineer by training, so assignment mode is always there in the mind. That even a monthly magazine, I would not do it 10 pages per day. I would do 100 pages in a day. I have to complete it, then only I will get closer. That same thing applied to others also. If I start polity, then first I will finish polity. Otherwise, this will not be finished, other thing will not be finished. So you have to find out what works for you. You can read both, you can study both things in a day, GS and optional, dividing your time accordingly. You can do one day, alternate day. You can do 3 days in a week. I would read this 3 days in a week. I would prefer that you do 3 days thing. Because a subject, if you pick up, then that subject should have some closure in your mind that I have done this subject. And then in next 3 days, you take maybe optional, and 7th day you should take rest. I emphasize highly on rest. Yes. Yes. For me, failing in prelims in 4th attempt was a blessing, that I could get one entire year to revisit my strategy. Otherwise, what happens that people get stuck in the cycle. They fail an interview, then prelims comes, they clear prelims, then mains come. They do not get time to improvise. They do not get time to improve their approach. They just keep on revising same things. They keep on writing the same things. So they get stuck. So for me, this last failure was actually a blessing in disguise, and it helped me revise my strategy. I revisited everything, like whatever subject is there, what sources should I choose, whether I should change my sources or should stick with them. So that gave me a breath to analyze. That I will analyze first, then I revisited my strategy. So you have to first come up with a strategy. What sources will you follow, and how many revisions, and how many tests you have to write. You have to come up with that. Strategy for what? Strategy after failing in this prelims, right? So it would be a subject-wise strategy, I can say, but it would take a lot of time. You would get impatient. I think 9:46 is the time o'clock your class gets over. It's there. So, yes.
How do you make current affairs? I mean, how do you compartmentalize them? Subtopics or subject-wise, or like GS paper 1 or GS paper 2? How do you categorize them?
Major subject-wise, history, polity, economy, like that. No further subtopics. Only major subject. And try to minimize your current affairs. This for prelims part. Are you talking about it or mains? So for mains, current affairs would become very big. So then you have to compartmentalize based on the GS headings. And for prelims part, just the subject, economy, polity, history, you can do that. And try to write very little in your current affair notes. Don't make pages. What I used to do for prelims current affair notes, I used to write just one line or half a line, because revisions become easy.
There are some standard sources for some subjects like polity, world history, did you directly rely on those books, or did you make short notes and yourself and then revise?
See, you mentioned Lakshmikant and Spectrum. If you try to make notes, then the books will be copied in your notes. That is there. So for those two books, you cannot make notes. Yes, you can. If you think that these are some of the points which are very difficult for me to remember for a long time. So those particular points, maybe 10 pages, you can pick out from that book and write them for revision. For me, that did not work. I never made notes of these two books especially. But in my time, I referred to Polity 5th edition, Lakshmikant 5th edition. So Supreme Court cases are a bit travesty in that book. They are not provided. So this time they were asked in plenty. And UPSC is going in that direction. So please expect some questions in this prelims also from Supreme Court cases UPSC may ask. For that, I had to refer some other sources because Lakshmikant did not do justice to the subject. I referred to, I think, Shubhra ma'am's notes I found somewhere in the market, so I picked up those, and from that I referred those portions which were not provided. And for other portions, if you ask me, like governance and all those, they are not provided in many books. If the books are there, they are also not good. So for those, I referred to Vision IS validated material. Thoroughly I referred. Like governance is there, you cannot find it anywhere else. Disaster management is there, security is there. For those topics, I refer to this material. GS3 economy portion, apart from macroeconomic concepts, you have to go find those materials. But if you are doing classes for GS, I don't think you would require anything else. Just focus on those classes. Classes today, I think, are very exhaustive. Because I remember when my friends used to take classes, that time the classes did not cover that much syllabus. But now UPSC itself is going into various directions, so classes are also definitely moving proportionately. So you would have a lot of information in the class. Focus on class notes first. If you find something you cannot understand, then you should move to outside. Yes. I got it. When did you start a preparation? Just 8 months or before that? 8 months. And you have been taking classes for both GS and optional. Those are the two classes you are mentioning, right? See, 5 hours of classes and then newspaper, so definitely you won't have energy, you won't have time. You just need to revise and you need to focus on those classes only, I would say. Just don't go outside. Outside, I don't mean outside. Just don't go outside of that space. Just focus on those two classes only. And newspapers, don't make it a case that you are skipping newspapers, that I would read it on the weekend. If you make a pile of newspapers on your table, then the pile would increase. It will never reduce. Let me tell you that. I have done it multiple times. यार एक चीज़ तो तुमको एक्सेप्ट करनी पड़ेगी कि 1 साल में प्रिपरेशन कंप्लीट होती नहीं है, टाइम लगता है. अब 4 साल पढ़ के 3 साल पढ़ के अटेम्प्ट दे सकते हो पहला, या मेरी तरह फेल होते होते अटेम्प्ट दे सकते हो. वहाँ से भी सीखते हैं और यहाँ से भी सीखते हैं. तो फर्स्ट गेट दैट थिंग राइट इन योर माइंड. इफ यू आर हैविंग अ टारगेट ऑफ 1 year, then you might not achieve that target. You have to have that time scale that maybe 2 years I will have to study. So right now focus on your this class notes, and I think they would cover pretty much everything. But if you get time, whatever else is there that is not taught in the class, that you can refer simultaneously in any book. And please restrict the number of books you read. If you go out in the market, that photocopy shops are there, they attract. that yellow light is there, those yellow pages, they attract everyone. When I was there here, so what I would do, me and my friend would go to the market and we would just stand outside like this, and we would see what someone else is buying. We would not buy, we would just hear what they are talking about, because we were not having any coaching, we did not know what book is important, so we will just overhear them. Okay, ये कह रहा है ये वाली किताब जरूरी है. Then we would discuss कि यार ये तो बहुत मोटी है, ये नहीं पढ़ी जाएगी, बोला चल छोड़नी पड़ता है. So like this we could not cover security, governance and all those things. We just left there, कौन पढ़ेगा ये सब ऐसे लिख देंगे. बस होता नहीं, पढ़ना पड़ता है. ये धीरे धीरे रियलाइज हुआ, पर पहले रियलाइज होता है तो ज़्यादा बेटर है. But those shops, they attract your attention. Don't get attracted. Just restrict your sources that I would follow this monthly magazine for current affairs. Stick to that. Because if you change, then you would get diverted. And for mock test also, for prelims, if you follow test, I would emphasize on sectional test. Finish your sectional test because they are a significant knowledge base. Anything else in your question? But थोड़ा टाइम स्केल बढ़ा के रखना कि पढ़ना पड़ सकता है. हाँ, अगर नहीं लगता है, देखो नहीं लगता है तो वेल एंड गुड है, बहुत अच्छी बात है. बट नहीं, बट वन थिंग you should realize that attempt is not equal to year. One attempt does not mean 1 year. There are many years before that attempt. When I started preparation, what I did, I had a paper printed on the front wall, and there are students from yesterday's class, they know it. So, so I pasted a paper on that. I had written 1 year, 1 digit, no less, no more, like that. So only 1 digit was realized, 1 year was not realized. So that is there, but increase your time horizon that I might have to study. Yes. I did only that. Daily newspaper, with full religiosity. Each and every news, not each and every news. I think Vajiram gives a daily marking like this news are important, right? I followed that. I used to mark those news first because that gives me an idea. Okay, आज का newspaper में 1.5 घंटा लगने ही वाला है. So वो एक क्लोजर मिल जाता था कि हाँ आज चलो आधा घंटे में पेपर हो जाएगा, कुछ और कर लेंगे. So that gives an idea. वहाँ से थोड़ा सा mental set हो जाता है, mindset हो जाता है कि हाँ आज इतना newspaper पढ़ना ही पड़ेगा. फिर मार्क करके then but don't restrict to those selected news items only. You have to go through all the headings. You might find something extra out of the other news items, and you might find something redundant in the marked news items also. You have to leave them. Just don't think that this is marked by the experts, some experts, or this would be important. No, they might not be important. You have to filter out. Yes.
Regarding current affairs, after reading newspaper and making notes of it on a daily basis, can you emphasize on how to cumulatively approach towards the end of a month, and how did you actively revise and recall all such news information before the upcoming exam?
See, I refer to paper daily and I refer to one monthly compilation. That is the thing I have said. So you are asking how to revise that.
Before the upcoming prelims.
So you are talking about your own notes or magazine? Because magazines are very difficult to revise, I found out. Notes. Notes, I think notes are easy to revise because you yourself have made them. I think I can say hota na? Ho gaya. What I used to do, you have to adopt a style of making notes, underlining, highlighting and revising. For me this was, suppose you have to make your notes interesting first of all. When in earlier attempts I used to make notes, I would just write lines like that. So when you revise them, it becomes very difficult. So when I changed my strategy, what I would do like this, some topic, and I would make my notes interesting like this or something in that direction. You have to make your notes interesting so that you yourself would be appalled to study them. Otherwise you make notes. I made notes of polity, but I did not study them. They are there somewhere lying. So that's a waste. Do not do that. If you make notes, make your notes interesting so that you yourself will find it attentive to study. The second thing, the monthly magazines, current affair notes, especially current affairs note, would be in this format only. You just find some news article, you just mention it. Subject wise, make notes, for example, economy, polity, and do highlight. Because in your own notes, when you are making notes, you would write a lot of things, but those things would become redundant after a month. You will find out that, okay, I know this thing. Those type of things are there. Suppose this is a monthly magazine. and any notes or any class material, what I would do, I would take a yellow highlighter. Color होता है इसमें? छोड़ा. कहाँ होता है? Oh. So what I would do, ये क्या है? यही है ना? हाँ, तो first I would highlight like this. So suppose 10 lines are there and I find 3 lines are important. So I would highlight like this first. So this is my first level of filtering. I filtered that out of 10 or 20 lines, these 4 lines are important for me, which I do not know, which I might forget, or which are important for the exam. That you will know, because now in this age of information overload, these monthly magazines are increasing in size over the months. Because I remember in 2019 the monthly magazine was of 65 or 70 pages. Now I think it is 130 at least. Last I saw 128 was 135 was there. So you have to mark like this, whatever your style. I actually bought a box of highlighters. Every time I would have 1 or 2 boxes of highlighters with me. So highlight them. Then in second iteration, what I would do, the revision part you were asking how to do revision. So this was my style of revision. First I would highlight by like this. Then I would pick black pen or blue pen, whatever is available on my table. Then I would mark like this. Now I cannot remember this part, and this is important. This part or this part. Just keywords. First whole line associated with that phrase or keyword, data, and then only the keyword in second iteration. Then third iteration would come a different color pen. You have to have that skill. And then I would mark like this. This is 1 star important, this is 2 star important, and this is ultra important for me, like this, or like this. Sometimes this will go like this for me, because this is sure I will not remember this thing. So I would highly emphasize that when now these 3 revisions are completed, and I have made it a level based labeling. Now my levels are, this is highly important for me. I have to have a look at this before 2 days before prelims. Otherwise I will definitely forget this. Some national park is there in news, or some very crucial fact is there. So first I would go to this, then I would go to this, then this, and if some other portion is there like mark like this, then that. If I get time, then that, or depending on the time you will have to filter out. If just 1 hour is there for to revise a magazine or 2 magazines, then I would only look at these. If 2 hours are there, then this and this. 3 hours are there, this and this. Depending on your time skill, what you realize to study a magazine. So this was revision for current affair magazine, and for all standard notes also, there standard books also, I had this strategy, and I have followed it for over the years, and this has worked for me. So this was the reason I did not and I could not make notes, because my revision was achieved by this. Yes. यार समझ नहीं आया, कैन somebody repeat it? एम्पलीफाई कर दो बीच में से कोई थोड़ा. हाँ. क्या किसी को समझ में आया इस क्वेश्चन में? समझ में नहीं आया थोड़ा. नहीं, वो सुना ही नहीं दे रहा यहाँ पे यार, ये प्रॉब्लम हो रहा है. कोई और बता सकता है क्वेश्चन क्या पूछा इसने? Okay, so now I think now that distinction is lost. Whatever may be asked in mains may also be asked in prelims. UPSC is going towards agricultural based question in prelims. Earlier also they were asked, but now in prelims also they are asked. So that distinction is lost. You have to focus on a subject in a holistic manner, that this is a subject. There are some various topics which you might specifically leave for mains. For example, governance, disaster. They are there, that you should classify that they are not important for prelims. But otherwise, if you are reading economy, polity, then everything is important for prelims as well as mains. You should not classify. Was that your question or something else? अच्छा अभी इस बार प्रीलिम्स का तो 2-1.5 महीने ही है यार. प्रीलिम्स पढ़ो बस मेंस छोड़ दो. अभी क्या मतलब है, मेंस ऑप्शनल सब छोड़ दो, पहले प्रीलिम्स तो निकालें. तो प्रीलिम्स इज अ वेरी बिग हर्डल. इधर आओ, टाइम ज़्यादा जा रहा था. एनीवन एल्स फॉर दैट? बेस्ट answer writing depends on when you are comfortable and when did you start the preparation. Just 1 month. Don't write for next 3-4 months at least. Yeah, please don't write, because what will happen, you know very little at this stage. I assume that if you start writing, then you would only focus on writing part. You have to build content. I always focus on building content, because the presentation part you have to learn. If you know the presentation part, then the key would be content. But if you miss on the content first, then only presentation, what would you present? You need to have content for that. So don't rush into answer writing at this stage. First have a holistic idea. At least let some subjects be completed. The teachers would give some questions to write also in classes. Try to write those questions only. And regarding PYQ also, question would come at this stage. So what you should do with PYQs, according to me, that if you are reading a subject, for example polity, then just don't rush into PYQs. What happens if you rush directly into PYQs, then your attention gets fixated on those questions only. Suppose you get a question from governor and PYQs, so if then you are reading the chapter of governor, then you would only read that part. You would tend to overlook on the other aspect, but you don't know that other aspect may also be asked this year. So first complete the syllabus, then look at the PYQs, and then see how much portion of the PYQs are you able to attend from those from that book or from your subject learning. And before that also, I can emphasize that for prelims portion, you finish a subject, then you first attempt a sectional test, because the gaps in your book will be fulfilled by those sectional tests. So first complete book, sectional test, then look at prelims. If you are able to do good in prelims, if you are able to do in those two things, then if you go to PYQs, then definitely you would do good in those PYQs. Then you would get confidence. Don't go other way, like pehle PYQ, then subject, and then sectional test. Go this way. Yes.
While revising in the class, while we are studying, we taking the class, and the class is just like कि समझ आ गया, class के बाद जाके रिवीजन करना है, 1 महीने बाद तीसरा रिवीजन करना, दूसरा रिवीजन करना. उस टाइम पे कैसे डिवाइड करके this part of prelims, this part of mains.
तुम्हें डिवाइड करना ही क्यों है? मैं तो ये पूछ रहा हूँ, पूरा रिवाइज करते चलो ना, पूरा है तो.
So how to identify that's a factual part, and how to identify that this is the what is factual information keep in mind.
तो अब फैक्ट मेंस में भी आने लगे हैं ना. फैक्ट्स आर नॉट ओनली इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर प्रीलिम्स, फैक्ट्स मेंस में भी आने लगे हैं. यार कितना टाइम हुआ तुमको पढ़ते हुए? 8 months ना. तो थोड़ा और टाइम निकलना, तो ये अंडरस्टैंडिंग तुमको खुद आ जाएगी कि जो भी हम कंटेंट प्रिपेयर करते हैं, जो भी टॉपिक पढ़ते हैं, उसमें से अपने आप मेंस का कंटेंट बन जाता है. ऐसा नहीं होता कि हमें कोई राइटअप पढ़ना है फिर उसमें से निकाल के वो 150 वर्ड्स लिखने हैं. ऐसा नहीं होता है. Just have that information. You have to arrange that information, because when you are studying, you have to have interlinkages between papers. You cannot say that I am writing a polity answer, then I would write only polity aspect of it. You may have to go to the economy aspect also in your polity answer. So अब तुम बोलोगे कि नहीं है मेरा तो वही राइटअप था पॉलिटी का, मैं इसमें से 150 मार्क्स का कंसेंट में याद कर लेता हूँ, लेकिन उससे काम चलेगा नहीं. सो ऐसा मत करो कि सिर्फ प्रीलिम्स और मेंस को मैं क्लासीफाई कर दूँ, ऐसे नहीं. रिवाइज करो, पूरा रिवाइज कर लो, बट हाँ there would be some things where you would specifically know कि यार ये प्रीलिम्स के लिए जरूरी नहीं है, तो वो तुम्हें अपने नोट से खुद पता चल जाएगी, तो उसको स्किप कर दो. बहुत सारी चीजें होती हैं, एग्जाम्पल तो याद नहीं आ रहा, बट देयर आर देयर. यस. So you are referring to some particular book, I suppose. देखो मैं समझ गया तुम्हारा क्वेश्चन से। एक और चीज होगी, लेट्स से suppose you are I referred to this Shankar IAS for environment only book. In that book क्या है, तो यही तो सेलेक्ट हो रहा है, फिर वहां जाके वो कैसे हो जाता है? लो मैं पेन उठाऊंगा ही नहीं, ठीक है। सो सपोज यू आर रीडिंग PMF IAS as you said or Shankar IAS. PMF IAS, I saw the book. The book is increasing in size, I think 100 pages per year. So that speed is not good for a book to increase because the students have to understand things. So if you are mentioning all 500 national parks and wildlife sanctuaries in a book, definitely whatever is asked will be there in that book. But is that necessary for a student to read all those national parks? No, it's not. You have to know which are there in the current news. Only they will be asked in the exam. If something else is asked, then it will be bouncer for everyone. So if you are saying that for environment, I am reading that book, you don't need to read the full book. You have to identify portions. And for environment, Shankar, I think PMF would also be the same way written. For Shankar, Shankar follows this style. मैं कुछ गलत कर रहा हूँ क्या इसमें? ये आ रहा है या ये मेरे साथ खेल रहा है? हाँ, ओके, ठीक है, जो भी बोले. So in Shankar there would be a big heading, then there will be subheadings, and then a lot of information would be written, highly redundant information. So when you read the book, you have to read it first, the full book word by word you should read. Any book you read, for the first reading should be word by word. Then after that you can highlight the way I told. And this, when you revise these kinds of books, so in the final revision, what you should do before the prelims or just 3-4 days, 10 days, just revise this portion. Just make a mind map all the headings, mind map of all the headings, that whatever headings are provided. For example, this ecosystem chapter you are reading, then all the pyramid of numbers. Just have pyramid of numbers is there, pyramid of biomass is there, pyramid of something energy is there, and species. In that book also species are provided, like I think like 10-12 pages. You don't need to read it all. You just need to know the critically endangered part. Maybe just look at the critically endangered in India. Pygmy hawk types, you should know where they are found. They're very important. Some species are favorite for UPSC, like golden mahseer is there, duckbill platypus, like those kinds of names. If you go to the PYQs, you would find out that there are some species which are very much common, and they are repeated. So from past 10 or 15 years papers, you would get around 20-30 species which are repeated. Those species should be remembered by you in the exam. And please follow this approach, that you have a mind map of all the headings of that book, because these environment books, they are loaded with only with information, content and all that. Understanding part is not that much. Only the ecosystem part is understanding. Otherwise there is all content. All the conventions are there and all these laws, acts and all policies. So for that you should focus on this heading part, that I should have that heading. Stockholm Convention, POP. Basel Convention, hazardous, this inter-country movement. Rotterdam Convention, this informed consent. So those just 2 keywords should be there in your mind for every convention like that. If you try to make try to study all and remember all the data, then it would be you would forget. Naturally you would forget. Just limit your information, and that is the key. That focus on this heading. Just 2-3 revisions of this heading only, and skip this part, because this is already there in the back of your mind. If you know this will naturally drive. You must know that this thing, we humans have a place memory. We tend to recognize things with places. Like for example, some question is asked from subject, then we would definitely go to that page. Like, यार ये चीज मैंने इस पेज में यहाँ पे मैंने पढ़ी थी. Now what would happen that if you start reading multiple books, your place memory would get distorted. इस वाली बुक में यहाँ पे थी, उस वाली बुक में यहाँ पे थी, अब मेरे को कुछ याद ही नहीं आ रहा. You have to have that the यहाँ पे थी, then second level would come, that यहाँ पे थी, कुछ ऐसे लिखा हुआ था, कुछ ऐसे करके लिखा हुआ था. So naturally something would strike, and if you read it again and again the same book, this memory would get strengthened. And this reading headings is a very good part of it. Headings would have an outline in your mind. I specifically remember in Shankar like which page has which heading and which diagram is situated where. That memory should be there. You might not remember the content, but the place should be remembered. Next.
Apart from the subject, I'm just curious if you can share how your daily routine during preparation would be and how much time would you allocate for current affairs, reading the newspaper, answering the questions, and actually reading the concepts.
My journey is a bit long, so I would tell only the significant part of it. My day would start with newspaper, invariably. I would wait for the newspaper to come 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, and I would start with newspaper, and newspaper would take around 1.5 hours. Then I would have a shower, breakfast. Then if I feel like studying, I would sit for study, and I would never sit for more than 2 or 3 hours in a sitting. And I made it a case that if I am sitting on my chair for 6 hours, then for those 6 hours, I would study. And 6 to 7 hours was my ultimate that peak point. If I study below that, or if I study more than that, the efficiency and performance would deflect. I had that peak point. You have to find out peak point, like optimal performance. My optimal performance is in 8 hours, 10 hours, depending on your caliber. It depends on your mental capacity. So for me, it was 6 to 7 hours. If I cross 7 hours, no use. Next day, I would be studying only for 3 hours. Then that would be a loss. So find that you have to study for a long time, 1 year, 1.5 years, 2 years, 3 years, whatever is there. So don't exhaust your mind in a day or two or in a week or month. You have to be a marathon player. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. You have to study for a long time. So don't just go by 10 hours, 12 hours. If you are comfortable, if your mind allows, then definitely you should. But what I would advise that study for 8 hours, but make it a case that you study for 8 hours regularly and take breaks, daily break, 6-hour breaks, and then weekly breaks. For me, breaks were very important. And anything else in your question? Yeah, but one more thing, I did not have any specific time that I would study from this time to this time. No schedule, no routine, nothing. Whenever I feel like studying, I would study. When I don't feel like, I'll just go out and roam. Yes, roaming is very important. You just get to see different people, and you need to get out of that space. You need to get out of that room and see other people also. Yes. What do you call a distraction? Distractions are. I think this is a very big distraction, no? Yes. So when you are on your table, just keep your mobile phone away somewhere in silent mode, switched off mode. Actually, I did not, but I advise you to. Because you cannot. कौन बोल रहा है? Yeah.
What would you like to suggest about interview preparation and strategy?
Interview portion, yeah, that's a very long time for that. बट मेनली डाफ पे ही फोकस करना होता है. जो डाफ में भरा है तुमने, उसको ही अच्छे से थॉरली प्रिपेयर करना होता है. और मॉक्स, नंबर ऑफ मॉक्स इफ यू आर आस्किंग, देन यू हैव टू फाइंड आउट लाइक वेदर यू आर डन इन 3 मॉक्स और 15 मॉक्स. पीपल दिस ईयर आई फाउंड आउट सम पीपल हैव गिवन 15-20 मॉक्स ऑल्सो. बट अगेन दैट ऑप्टिमल पॉइंट इज देयर. फॉर मी इट वॉज लाइक 2-3 मॉक्स. So I did not give many mocks, 3-4 mocks maximum. I went with the flow that some people advised me, नहीं और दे दो यार, इतने से काम नहीं चलेगा, चलो दे देते. But that did not work quite good.
Sir, regarding government schemes, do we have to follow the same approach or just memorize the important government schemes of a particular country?
Same approach of what? Yes, government schemes also you should follow that. You should have the name of the scheme in your mind first, and then maybe 1 or 2 details. But just don't do that when you are studying a government scheme. You are just मैं study इतना करूँगा, उससे नहीं होगा. First you have to study the whole thing. You have to mark the important ones. But when you revise, focus on this thing. You have to know that actually nowadays the names of schemes are very much self-explanatory. You just remember, if you remember the name, you remember what it is about. You just need to remember the sharing pattern. I don't think remembering much details would be easy. You would forget.
Yeah, like Parliament scheme and the whole yellow book.
Whole
Whole yellow book.
yellow book. अच्छा, full book of government schemes. ये मैं तो नहीं पढ़ता था, और मैं पढ़ भी नहीं सकता. But you should once go through that. But एक basic idea mind में होना चाहिए कि है क्या scheme. And there are very important schemes which, if some scheme is important, it will be there in the newspaper. Focus on the newspaper schemes, that whatever scheme is provided in newspaper, some coverage is there, then definitely that becomes important for exam. Otherwise, a lot of schemes are announced every day. They would be there in PIB or some other knowledge base. So you cannot just go through and read every scheme. Yes. Hmm. You should purchase. Well, I'm not endorsing newspaper. I'm just saying that if you have a hard copy in your hand, newspaper hard copy. I'm a fan of hard copy for any material. I had a printer, whatever I found PDF, I just print. That's why I cannot use this thing. So for newspaper specifically, purchase a hard copy because then only you get the feel of newspaper. And do read newspapers. Just don't rely on those explanations. If you cannot get a topic, if you cannot understand like what it is going to say, what it is saying, and it's very difficult for me to understand, especially the economy editorials. They are written with data and explanations you cannot understand. For them, you can go to some explanation, but just get that explanation right. But don't do that for everything. And don't just rely on those videos that I would only watch the video and get an understanding. No, you won't. You will forget. Yes. हाँ बोलो सर थोड़ा जोर से बोलना होगा यार I think strategy part is over now, right? एक बार फिर से रिपीट कर दो यार यहाँ आवाज पता नहीं आती क्यों नहीं है हाँ जब मैंने प्रिपरेशन स्टार्ट की थी तो पहले तो मैंने एनसीईआरटी उठा ली थी इसने मेरे को बोला कि एनसीईआरटी से स्टार्ट करो तो मैंने 6th 7th 8th की एनसीईआरटी उठा ली वो पढ़ता था इन 1 month आई फिनिश दैम and then I focused for first year I did a mistake that I focused entirely on prelims. I just bought these standard books, bought those mocks, sectional mocks, and I attempted all those mocks. I used to get 120 plus in the first year itself. So I was confident that I would clear prelims at least this year, and only prelims I cleared. So you have to focus on mains also. In my first attempt, I would say the problem was this only, that I focused in silos. So when I started, I ignored ethics part in that attempt. I did not read ethics and other GS portions which are there, non-prelims portion, that I ignored. So what's your question actually? The change is, if you are looking for change from first to last year, the change would be that finding out the exact book, finding out that exact page you need to read, you need to revise. Because when I started, there were a lot of books. For history, I would have, I think, 7-8 books. They are there. For economy, I would have 5-6 books. I have read all of them, but they are somewhere lying around. But in my last attempt, I followed only one source for everything. One source for this, one source for that, and I stuck to that. So did I answer your question? I don't think I did. एनसीईआरटीज हो गई तुम्हारी 6th 7th 8th एटलीस्ट 11th 12th तो सिलेबस ही है यार सुना ही नहीं दे रहा है 11th and 12th you have completed geography once and economy कमी करना है तो यार my suggestion to you would be that whatever book you choose it after proper research, that I would read this book and stick to that book. That is a mistake I did. I purchased a lot of books. Don't do that. You are on that stage I was 5 years ago, 6 years ago. So don't do that mistake and just find out the best book available for according to your caliber. For me, for history portion, I first studied modern history of Bipin Chandra, because I was skeptical that I would not get spectrum in the first reading. First, I finished the history NCERTs, then I read the Bipin Chandra book, because I had a habit that I should get a story built up in my mind. For modern history, the story is interesting, that story in chronological manner should be built in your mind, and Bipin Chandra did this beautifully. But after that, I found out that from Bipin Chandra, I cannot extract information useful for prelims. Then I switched to spectrum, and then I stuck to spectrum. But I would not say that Bipin Chandra became redundant, because it had built a story in my mind. And on that story, I sprinkled those facts. So you have to find out what works for you. Next.
How confidence in your day?
In
In your day,
you cannot improve your confidence in a day. I would say, I think you want to ask that if you feel low, if you are feeling disappointed, something like that, you have to find that motivation. You have to get that motivation right. Like motivation may be all of us. I think some of us are leaving their jobs, some of us are leaving their colleges, and we all have that motivation to crack the civil services, and have that motivation straight and repeat it to yourself every day. That actually I had left my job, so there was a reason why I left that job and why I came for civil services. So that motivation should be very clear, crisp and repeatable. ऐसा नहीं है कि आज मेरा मोटिवेशन ये था, कल मेरा मोटिवेशन ये होगा, आज तो मैं वो ये ना कि ठुकरा के दिल मेरा का आज तो मैं इससे आ गया वो बन के अब now I want to serve the nation. No, you have to get that motivation straight at the starting of your preparation, because if that motivation is very concrete, then you would find the strength in your times when you are feeling low. There would be times when you would feel low. There would be times when you feel like आज पढ़ने का मन नहीं कर रहा, मत पढ़ो, सिंपल सी बात. जबरदस्ती नहीं करनी है, बट ऐसा भी नहीं है कि मेरा 3 दिन पढ़ने का मन नहीं कर रहा, मैं घूम रहा हूँ, नहीं, उतना भी नहीं करना है. टेक अ ब्रेक, बट गेट दैट मोटिवेशन इन योर माइंड. एंड इफ यू एवर फील लाइक कि नहीं हो रहा है, क्या करूँ, सो ट्राई टू इमेजिन अ डे you come here. Just imagine this day that you are coming here and you are actually I always imagined myself here when I used to sit there. I used to imagine that वहाँ जाऊँगा तो कैसा लगेगा. So that will definitely give you cheers. या जब पढ़ने का मन नहीं कर रहा है तो सोचो यार वहाँ जाके मुझे टॉक देनी है, मैं क्या बोलूँगा. तो वो वहाँ से अपना पढ़ना आ जाएगा. You have to imagine, you have to manifest. In technical words we call it manifest. आजकल बहुत चल रहा है YouTube पे, manifest that. Bring a glass of water and drink that water, manifest that. Lot of things are there. I don't know whether it works or not, but manifestation you have to do. You have to imagine yourself there. If you can imagine yourself there, you will get the strength to work for it. Get that motivation. And don't have a very cheap motivation. Let me be very clear. Yes, yes. कल तुम्हारे सवाल पूरे नहीं हुए, बोलो. वाइंड अप करना है, चलो बोलो फटाफट. I already mentioned that I did not study more than 6 to 7 hours, so definitely there would be something I would do in rest of the time. Actually, I would say I was isolated, but not completely isolated. I stayed away from Delhi. So in that zone, I did not have much interaction with the people here. I would just ask my friend. I had a friend who is staying here. So मैं उससे बस यही पूछता था क्या चल रहा है मार्केट में. I would just ask him क्या चल रहा है मार्केट में. Though he would tell me like ये चल रहा है यहाँ पे, ये नए नए मार्केट में चीजें आ गई हैं, बच्चे ये बोल रहे हैं, ये प्रीलिम्स में ये आने वाला है. So I would just contact him. He would tell me the status. Otherwise, I was a bit isolated. I did not focus. I did not have many friends in that preparation. You can. It's not like that you should do that. Whatever suits you, you should do that. Which field? I just could not get. So you are a doctor, right? Yeah, it's very hard, I think. Yes. I think I am competent enough to answer that question. When I left my job, my friends were already progressing in their career. Someone had went for MBA. Someone had went abroad for further studies or some job. So now after 5 years, when I talked to them, I kept in touch with some of them. So I find out like how much are you earning? So like CR 80, 90, 70. So I was like self doubt आने लगता है कि यार क्या कर रहा हूँ मैं. मेरे दोस्त वहाँ इतना पैसा कमा रहे हैं, इतनी अच्छी नौकरी कर रहे हैं, मैं यहाँ पे एकदम बेरोजगार बैठा हूँ. That's the word I used to use for myself. मैं बेरोजगार बैठा हूँ. I'm not earning even a penny. So that thing will come. Self doubt will come, and some self doubt is good because it will give you strength to move forward. You have to imagine again that if I clear this exam, will I be better than them? in my own perspective, I'm not saying their perspective, in my own perspective, will I be more happy? Will I be satisfied? If you get the answer, yes, I would be satisfied if I clear this exam, that I left my job. I am not earning as much as my friends, but I would be satisfied. If you can derive that satisfaction from that imagination, then I think you would get that motivation to rise up. You would definitely feel low, but if you can just cut out the contacts, if you can, only the important ones maintain. Otherwise, if you get too much involved with those friends, then definitely every day you will get self-doubt, and everyday self-doubt is not good. Self-confidence is good. Next. हो गया अपने wind up. Okay, so thank you so much. I wish you all the best.